Tony Stark is tracking someone in the mountain ranges of Slovakia. AIM is plotting something with dangerous weapons, but Iron Man crashes the party. They've stolen his technology and he attacks them, but Lucia von Bardas and her robots are not phased. Iron Man tells Jarvis to prepare the cube for prisoners, and Lucia leaves with a stern warning. Back in the cube, there are prisoners everywhere as Bruce Banner is being tested on, but he warns them that he is going to turn at any moment. S.H.I.E.L.D. is lying to his doctor, as he thinks he is curing Banner, but they just want to control Hulk. Meanwhile, Thor is met by Baldur, and he tells him that Odin has entered the Odin sleep and ordered Thor to return to defend Asgard. Thor refuses and says that he can make a difference on Earth. While on Asgard, the fighting is a meaningless cycle. There is an accident on the streets, and another car flips, but Thor stops it, saving Jane Foster. She accuses Thor of following her and he starts stumbling on words. At the vault, Iron Man lands with AIM agents. An agent tells Iron Man that they had an incident last week, but Iron Man doesn't listen and leaves. At the big house, Ant-Man is questioning a criminal who tells him that something is going to happen soon. The Wasp is talking to S.H.I.E.L.D., telling her that she wants to join, when Black Widow walks by. Suddenly, the lights shut off, and something fishy happens around the prison. All the prisoners and villains everywhere are released simultaneously. Hank is suddenly surrounded when S.H.I.E.L.D. facilities begin getting destroyed. To make matters worse, Hulk might have escaped. Nick Fury is trying to deal with this mess when he's told that all power was lost and everyone is loose. The villains turn an agent into stone while taking out the rest. Suddenly, Wasp attacks, and she stresses the need to help Ant-Man. Iron Man is minding his own business when he's told of what happened. Back with Thor, he's telling Jane about the Odin sleep. She thinks that he's mad at his dad, but he explains that he's needed on Earth, to which she replies that he's not. Suddenly, there is an explosion in the distance to prove her wrong, and he takes off. Bruce is stuck under the rubble of the explosion when his doctor limps inside, having been exposed to gamma radiation. Banner explains that the Hulk is the only hope they have against the prisoners, but the doctor is attacked by Zax. The villains then hit the weapons room to retrieve their stuff when Hawkeye comes in to stop them. As S.H.I.E.L.D.'s ship is crashing, Wasp is trying to find Ant-Man, who's in a bit of a pickle. Some bots surround a villain, but they're useless. A bunch of gorillas come in, and Ant-Man is surrounded by villains, but he drops them before saddling up. But it's not over yet. This mess of an episode keeps getting worse, as everything is turned to crap in like 5 different locations. Iron Man arrives at the scene and attacks the good guys because he's a dumbass.
You serious?
He gets dropped and surrounded by the bad guys and gets destroyed. The S.H.I.E.L.D. ship is sinking, and Fury reveals a 4th prison, where even more dangerous villains are being held. Meanwhile, Banner is getting tortured by Zax, and the Hulk finally decides to come out to play. He is destroying Zax while the villains watch and question why all the prisons were released. They go to deal with the Hulk and the S.H.I.E.L.D. personnel escape. Iron Man is in a bit of a pickle, but Hawkeye saves him. Iron Man orders the self-destruction of all vault systems and escapes while it blows. He's then surprised to hear that the same is happening everywhere. Ant-Man is getting his ass handed to him. He uses a nifty trick to crash the villains into each other before getting grabbed by Wasp. Meanwhile, Hulk is smashing, before he himself gets smashed by Abomination. They begin to fight and he uses the same trick Ant-Man used. He finds his doctor knocked out. He grabs him and jumps away, but the bad guys are warned not to follow him. Nick Fury then tells his agent that she's acting director for now, till he deals with this mess. They land at one of the prisons, but it is lifted high into the air, and Fury orders everyone to evacuate, but he's snatched up by the villain, Graviton. You see, 10 years ago, Nick Fury was given unlimited resources and hired a random scientist. The scientist lost control of an experiment, causing a giant accident. He woke up in restraints, but had a lot of power that he couldn't control. He could control gravity, but was quickly gassed out. Back in the present time, chaos is still ensuing, and this scientist has woken up. He has been in prison asleep for 10 years, so the scientist brought Nick Fury to have his revenge, torturing him with his powers until Thor's hammer crashes into him. Wasp tries to save Fury as the entire prison collapses, and a giant wave chases them. Thor goes after Graviton, and neither of them stands down. Graviton can control gravity, but Thor doesn't care. Meanwhile, Iron Man runs out of power in midair and crashes. He remotely activates another one of his suits and waits in the cornfields for his ride. Nick Fury calls an Omega-level emergency, before telling Ant-Man that Graviton is named Dr. Franklin Hall. He disappeared ever since he started working with S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's classified. The fight with Thor continues, and Thor can't land a strike, so he launches his hammer. Reports around the world of earthquakes and tsunamis surface when Hulk suddenly crashes a diner, ordering chicken soup for the scientist. He finds a projection of Banner asking him to help the heroes, but he's talking to himself. Banner convinces Hulk to be good, and meanwhile in the city, Thor is still struggling. Wasp ignores orders and joins the fight where Thor is getting destroyed. Graviton explains that he controls gravity, one of the 4 fundamental elements of the universe, and drowns Thor. Wasp makes him laugh by threatening him, then she zaps him. Iron Man finally nears the scene while Wasp fights, but she's swatted like an insect. Iron Man finally arrives and blasts him in the water. They remember that Thor is at the bottom of the ocean when Graviton comes back and shoots Iron Man into space. Ant-Man then turns giant as Wasp tries to fight. He tells her to leave, but is then knocked down, and Thor climbs up. Fury asks Graviton to let people go, but Graviton wants to destroy everything and everyone. He takes off his head, but it turns out he's just a robot. The real Fury is hiding below, and Graviton lets out his anger on the streets, lifting the entire island of Manhattan into the air. Thor then comes back and is finally able to strike him, sending the entire island crashing, but he eases the impact and gets buried underneath. Iron Man comes back, but is malfunctioning in space. Graviton is still there, but Thor comes back. He uses his gravitational powers, but is blasted away by Iron Man. Ant-Man arrives as well as Wasp, and he is surrounded. He blasts them away before finally the final boss arrives. Hulk smashes him away and continues doing so around the island. Everyone else is surprised that Hulk is on their side, but they try to join the fight and fail. Graviton takes them all down, still obsessed with his power. None of them can move, except for one angry Hulk. Ant-Man shrinks down and calls for his ants to join the fight, and we know how deadly they can be. They took out Kang. Hulk climbs out of the ground, and Graviton is shocked to see him. He launches an all-out assault toward the Hulk when suddenly, he's bitten by an ant, and the Hulk comes back. The rest of the heroes follow, and Graviton blasts Hulk away when the heroes strike back. Wasp helps the Hulk, and he doesn't believe it. Finally, he decides to smash. The rest of the heroes join in again. We're sick and tired by now of Graviton, who keeps reminding us that he controls gravity, and so is Ant-Man. Thor rains down lightning on Graviton and fries him. The Avengers are here. Wasp gets the last hit, but suddenly, S.H.I.E.L.D. surrounds them, wanting Hulk, but the team protects him. Nick Fury says that they have bigger fish to fry as 74 villains are on the loose. He recruits them all, but Ant-Man says that all of this is his fault. But Iron Man says that Fury is right. They need to all work alone to take down 74 villains. Together, they can make a difference. Security footage comes through and shows that someone other than Graviton was responsible for all of this. This was the origin story of the Avengers in the animated series of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. We love how every different story has a different take on it, but they're all equally as impressive. We also love how the team stood up for Hulk in the end, and he clearly appreciated it, as it was the first time someone cared for him. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me what you think about this story. What do you think of this Avengers origin story? What do you think of Graviton and his annoying obsession? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.